like my green, especially when I'm feeling blue. Sends me on a turquoise stream, or color me tangerine, down into aquamarine. Oh, how sublime it would be. Don't you wanna taste the rainbow with me? Live your life knowing that love lives in me. Don't you wanna taste the rainbow with me? This life could be sweet if you wanted to, just like a rainbow dream. Down in the black of the ocean, covered in your opal light, I see you in a purple haze. Oh, how sublime it would be. Don't you wanna taste the rainbow with me? Live your life knowing that love lives in you. Don't you wanna taste the rainbow with me? 'Cause life could be sweet if you wanted to, just like a rainbow dream. Rainbow
Thank you, bro. You're so sweet. You should have seen how I quickly jumped into the shower. It's been crazy. It's been a long day. I am so exhausted and I'm still going to work after this. Yay, Fifi's just joined us. So, perfecto. Hi Lolo, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hey,
Hello! Happy Tuesday!
happy Tuesday! Wow, I'm so excited to join you, finally.
I'm also very excited because the other day technology was being anti-revolutionary. So today technology is going to work with us. I see you are sideways, so we need to try and get you to be upright.
Am I sideways? Hang on. Let's try this.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, I might need to do this, which is still okay with me. Okay.
What is it? Are you holding the phone, or do you have like a support that's holding the phone for you?
No, don't worry. I actually just took it off support, but it's fine. We can go.
Are you gonna survive for an hour?
Hey, let's do this. I'll tell you when I need to put myself back sideways again.
Okay, cool. No, that's fine. I'm happy with that. So yeah, happy Tuesday. It's quite interesting that I'm doing it on a Tuesday today because normally it's obviously usually on Sundays, and technology decided to act up on us on Sunday. So thank you for making time because you didn't choose for technology to act up on Sunday. So thank you for availing yourself with the session today.
No, thank you as well to you and everybody that's dialed in, because look, how ironic that we want to talk about digital revolution, and on that day, that's when the technology actually lets us down. I was saying, okay, proves the point why we need this.
Exactly. But look, stranger things have happened. These things happen. It's just about like learning to flow with it, because there might have been a bigger reason beyond us why it couldn't happen on Sunday. Maybe there are people today who are connected that wouldn't have been otherwise able to connect on Sunday. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to learn. I think a lot of us are here to learn, seeing that you are what I consider you really, when I look at the stuff that, you know, the book itself, just having read the back of the book, I'm like, trailblazer. What a trailblazer.
Wow.
So I think just by means of an introduction, who is Refilwe? Because I can sit and say who I view you as, but who does Refilwe define herself as? Who's Refilwe?
Well, I first define myself as a Pan Africanist. You know, I'm an African that does not recognize the restrictions of being located to an absolute country and say, well, this is what my citizenship is. But I think as Africans, it's important that we have a single and united view on how we look at ourselves, because we can only be stronger together as a collective, as with many other nations. So that is the first point of definition that I would put out there. I would also say that I'm a digital activist. You know, the conversations that I have are meant to challenge the status quo, and particularly in the field of digital or digital revolution, or digitization, as many people would call it. But I'm also an avid supporter of people that want to make change, you know, people that want to own change. And I think from that aspect, this is why I particularly chose this topic, to say that for the change makers, what is it that we would need to do as a collective to enable an environment for those people to flourish, for those people to change, to chase their dreams and actually succeed at those. So I think without really going into many other titles, I'm also a wife, I'm a mom, yeah, I'm a sister, and a lot of other things that we are in our personal lives. I'm a friend, and all of those things are what make Refilwe who she is.
Wow, that is incredible. And what stood out quite in a big way for me there in your intro is being that advocate for change. You know, I think a lot of the time we shy away from change. We're afraid of change. We want to resist. We want things to remain the way they are. So what is it about change for you, and you wanting to help catalyze that for other people? What is it that ignites you or sets your soul on fire? Is it because a lot of people, it could be, you know, just being part of creating something new? What is it about change that actually gets you going?
Well, I suppose it's the difficulties in the now, you know, that necessitate the change. So if you're quite present and clued onto or plugged into the environment that you are in, right? It will tell you whether you've got room to kind of play in a comfort zone and relax, or it will really spur that need to say, look, there's an urgency for change, for things to get better for the greater majority of people. We all need to be in this wheel of constant incremental, doesn't matter whether it leapfrogs or it's just minor changes, but that incremental change, you know, that movement towards the right direction is what really keeps me going. It's what is my passion.
Wow, wow, that is beautiful. And this topic, the digital revolution, aka the fourth industrial revolution, I think it's one of those things. I remember when I first heard of it, I was like, okay, it means there's a shift happening, because if we're saying it's a revolution,
yeah,
it means there's a shift. Now, I think there's a lot of, I mean, I even considered doing my thesis on it last year, and my professor was like, listen, you are going to struggle, you know. But I think there's such a big part of it that we don't understand. So for a layman who doesn't necessarily get exposed or hasn't even looked at your book that you've published, we'll get into the book a little bit more later. But what is the digital revolution, or the fourth industrial revolution?
Look, it's really changed. Like you said, revolution is about change, and really drastic and kind of change in a huge scale, in a big scale, in a bit of a magnitude, and it has a sense of urgency to it, that it needs to happen now, it needs to happen in a big way, right? But this revolution is really driven by digitization and the evolution of technology. If you, like you said, it's called it's also known as the fourth industrial revolution. So there was a first, there was a second, and there was a third. Now, from where I come from and how I chose to focus this research project and ultimately publish it into a book is really looking at where was Africa, where was South Africa when the entire world was sitting at the first, the second, the third, and now the fourth industrial revolution. It is something that is quite big. Yes, it's a massive change for everybody. It's not just South Africans or African continent as such, but the entire globe is still trying to figure itself around this big, massive change. So the fourth industrial revolution is really characterized by an evolution of technologies throughout the revolutions that preceded it. And now there is a major catalyst because in this particular period, the evolution or this evolution is happening at a faster rate, which then denotes the revolution in the evolution.
Sure. Okay. So it's really digitization, change in a digital manner. And like you're saying that it's growing at a far greater or more rapid rate than the other revolutions. So I think we are finding ourselves living in this time. And I ask myself, with the role that I currently do at work, and I look at the people around me, because I've read so many things, and you always want to you want to remain relevant, right? It is important that you remain relevant. So with all this change, I'd say, I know there's no one way to answer it, to say how does one then ensure that you are positioned, you're well positioned to make sure that as these changes happen, you're able to actually thrive and take advantage of them. So how does one really position themselves? What are some of the questions that you have to be asking yourself in this time?
I think the first is whether you're comfortable, or you're still afraid, and fear has a way of pulling you away from necessary change, right? You might not necessarily find a place of absolute comfort, but you might be comfortable enough to be curious, and that is the first place where everybody needs to start. When you're curious, you ask yourself questions like, do I know what actually is going on? How does this impact my life? Am I relevant to the now? Would I actually sustain my livelihood, my life? Can I survive the change? You ask yourself those questions, and if the answers to any of those questions is no, then it says you must actually find out and get yourself to a point where you're actually comfortable with the change that is happening now. So I think the first point really for everybody is to say, okay, this is the work that I do as Boitumelo, right? How does this affect me? And you go out and you find the answers, you find the things that the Refilwes of this world are talking about. And your lecturer was quite right. When I did this study about 2 years ago, there was very little information available on it. This thing was just still catching fire, and it was just hot on the stove, if I may put it that way. And there was very little research, from a literature review perspective, that one needed to put together. But that is one of the reasons why it actually spurred me on to do it, because come Boitumelo the year after, who wants to do it, at least there must be research material or something that she can refer to and take the studies and the knowledge of what we are trying to put through to the next level. So those things are very important, to be able to ask yourself the critical and relevant questions and be absolute honest with yourself. If you find that you are not ready, the next question is, what do I do in my space, in my world, to get myself ready for an evolution that is currently taking place? Because we cannot run away from it. I think research shows that there will be a significant number of job losses as a result of the fourth industrial revolution. That has been the case with the first, the second, the third. It's not going to be different with this one. So if you're sitting in a space where you're not making your skills relevant, or you are not digitizing your relevance in an economy that is fast changing into a digitizing economy, then you are at risk, and there's no two ways about it. So you would really need to get into a place where you have personal conversations with yourself as to, am I relevant? Can I be relevant? What do I need to do to stay relevant?
Sure. And it sounds, when I'm listening to you speak about it, it sounds very easy. And I like that you speak about curiosity, because that's a starting point for a lot of things. Whenever any change is happening, I think it's good to be curious, because once you're curious, you're going to go scratch around different surfaces, and on those surfaces, you're going to uncover certain things. So, we're raising children. You and I are raising children. And, having grown up myself and knowing that there were specific sort of careers that your parents would sort of try and mold you into. Now, in this time, I wonder to myself to say, okay, there's a digital revolution happening, and it's about, digitization. The world is becoming a lot more digital. So does that mean if I, the individual, or even for the child that I'm raising, if I'm trying to identify my relevance and the skills thereof, is there a particular direction? Because I know, like I'm saying, historically, we would be told, oh, okay, accountants make the most money. Oh, doctors make the most money. So in a space like this, where I believe so many different industries are experiencing the revolution and it's necessary. I mean, we're looking at COVID-19 now and how we've had to just adapt, you know, because the way of doing business as usual is not working anymore. And we've gotten a lot more into digital platforms. So I guess my question here really is, you're making it sound easy just to say, okay, the relevance of my skills, where am I at? But where do we actually go? Is there a specific, do we then look at the different industries that we're passionate about and say, what are the skills that are necessary? How do I bridge that gap to make sure that I am well positioned to take advantage of the revolution?
Look, demand and supply, you know, this is what has governed economies for the longest time, you know, and I think the earlier point that I made was just being aware of your surroundings and the change that is happening to you. So where's the demand shifting to in terms of skills? Is the demand shifting to more accountants, or the demand is probably shifting to more designers, programmers? What is it that you are picking up in the demand roll call, you know, of the economy in terms of skills? And a quick way of looking at it is just go on a job site. Look at how many jobs are out there, you know, how many vacancies are making regular high rotation, and what is it that they're paying, you know? It's really being pragmatic at approaching your own personal solutions. So you would need to kind of look at, okay, where's the demand shifting? You know, at this point, we're sitting at a place where a designer can make as much as a doctor. You know, a programmer, for instance, makes a lot more than a doctor, or an accountant, or a lawyer. You know, so those are the emerging skills of the digital economy. But you know, there's also a very interesting aspect to it, is that as technology evolves, there'll be more emerging skills that are entering the market, you know, and things will continue to change. So it's a matter of, we are literally at the cusp of this change. So it's a matter of keeping your finger on the pulse and making sure that you don't get left behind, because you sleep, but if you snooze, you lose. Yes, that's the phrase. So literally, Bitumela, it's really about keeping your finger in the pulse. You must be very pragmatic about your approach to your own life and how you fit into the whole. If you're an accountant, ask yourself, okay, can a machine replace my skills? You know, where is the current continuum shifting to? We're finding a lot of accounting softwares entering the market. You know, there's a lot of analytical capabilities entering the market because of big data capabilities. We have a lot of analytical capabilities. I can tell you, in a couple of years, even audit will be done electronically, because we would be capturing so much of our information in machines. So the machine itself, through machine learning, through artificial intelligence and big data analytics, will be able to literally say, we actually don't need that crew of auditors going into that entity to go and audit. You know, it'll be a simple function of a program that is launched into that particular entity's mainframe to say, all right, can you audit if we have been compliant with the laws? So again, to the first and earlier point of being aware and conscious of your environment relative to the change, being curious and asking yourself the critical questions.
Sure. I think that is key. Otherwise, you get left behind. Without curiosity, you get left behind. Yeah. Sure. And now I'm now curious to know the book for you. I can't imagine, like, when I saw it, I was so excited. I had to, like, literally go see again that it's your name on the book. I was like, yo, I should have just stuck to my desired thesis topic, even when my professor discouraged me, so I can quote you in my thesis. How was that project? How did that, like, how long did that take you? Where did that start? Was it part of a smaller project that then spanned into this book? How did that come about?
You know, I think the genesis of it all is actually on my thesis. You know, I also had similar conversations with my lecturer. In fact, he said, what is this crusade you are on? Why are you doing this? You're going to struggle. It will take you 5 years to finish this, you know? And I took a year to really think about it, you know, and at the point that I was ready to do it, it was literally 20-hour work, you know, go to work, come back home, continue work, uh, leave the study, go take a shower, go back to work, and do it all over again until the body caves in and you take a little bit of rest. So it was a really kind of hectic period to put it together. But eventually it did. It came together. I found a supervisor that shared the same passion with me. He was an economist, also identified in a Pan African context. So I really had the great support. And there was a time, I must admit, that I actually tried to chicken out of it, you know, and because it was so big. And the academic committee said, "Oh no, lady, the world needs this." And I was like, "No,
Yo.
if there is ever confirmations along my path, is exactly that. From the fact that this is what I wanted to do, I got discouraged. I still did it anyway. I changed supervisors, found somebody that was relevant, who identified with my passion, and the academic committee also bought into it. I had great support from my family as well. You know, it was just one of those great, really trying experiences. But you know, when they say, when you do something that you love, that you're passionate about, you don't actually feel the how much it's taxing you physically. Throughout all of that, it was something that I probably took 6 months to recover from the stress and just
Yo.
the work load that went into it. And the respondents in the study as well were very excited, you know, and they had really great opinions on the revolution itself. And the study literally went for people that that were change makers in their own right, that understood, well, senior in economic management across private and public sector. So it was really an engaging conversation. So it was almost like a period of a prolonged masterclass with really engaged minds. And it was quite an awesome experience for me. It took long, but the hours were worth it in the end. So one of the things that I've always thought, well, my own personal criticism of academics is that I have always thought that academics are not necessarily taking up their place in the economy, in sharing the knowledge that they go into these business schools to acquire, so that we are able to partner with government, with industry, so that we're able to make or to build a better economy for the greater South African population. Instead, some and most may have this myopic view to say, look, as long as I can get that promotion, yeah, I know I need a master's degree. If I can get a master's degree, I know I get that promotion, I get that increase. But for me, it was really never about that. You know, it was about how do we switch on the light for everybody else? You know, why is this thing so heavy in my spirit and it's not moving? Something that I really want to do. Yes, I acknowledge it's going to be difficult, but there must be a reason for this. I saw it through. I had the right support, the right assistance. And because I had always been one to be very critical of academics, I asked myself, is this going to be one of those theses that gather dust in a library of my business school, or am I going to do something different? My God, Bitumelo, was I a bit anxious about making my work public, you know. One really thinks about, okay, what is the response going to be? How are people going to receive it? I'm literally taking my intellect and I'm putting it on a plate and I'm saying, judge me. You can come back and tell me, hey, Refilwe, you know, you're not really thinking about this thing correctly, etc., you know. But I really had I consulted a lot of the people in my circle and everybody said, go for it. In fact, this is what is needed. And I trusted the opinions of those people, and I trusted my gut feeling and my previous criticism of the likes of us. And I published. I found a really great publisher. I was quite specific that I wanted a publisher that understands and has worked with academic work. And for me, it was actually a blessing in disguise that I found this publisher, and they were very much happy and willing to take me on. And I'm quite excited that the project is out there and available and accessible to as many people as possible in as many countries as possible.
Sure. It's so exciting. Like I said to you, when I first came across it online, I was like, geez, this is so inspirational. I don't know how many times, me being an economics student myself, coming from that background, you know, having to reference many papers and many books, but very few times coming across African or South African authors even. Please hold on. Guys, hello, please excuse me. I did tell you I'm busy. Please go. Please go. What I have to deal with.
We have those CNN moments, hey? Moms working from home.
And I was like, I believe that they would take the instructions and know that please do not come, don't come, because they're at my neighbor's house. But I guess they came looking for whatever they're looking for. But I was just so excited and thinking about it myself and some of the challenges just from an academic perspective that I've come across. And you speak about the few times that you nearly wanted to give up, but you had this support structure as well. For you to even have, can you hear that? My phone is ringing. Can you hear it?
No. Not at all.
Okay, I'm going to put it on silent.
Get rid of it.
Yeah, let me just put it on silent quickly. Okay, perfect. So just to see, I can't begin to tell you how much that put some feel in it. This feel very easy to me to say, here's this dynamite of a woman, an African woman, a South African woman at that, who's published this, something that is so topical, something that the world really, there's very little material out there about it. So that's why I said to you in the beginning that I view you as a trailblazer, you know, just that change that you're creating in our society. I think a lot of people, when they come across your book, even the ones that haven't as yet, it's giving them that you can do it. You can do it. A few times I wanted to give up myself, and I'm like, oh, this whole thing. I was like, hey, if you publish a whole book on the digital revolution and economic transformation in our country.
It's absolutely possible, you know. I think, you know, that the moment
I can't hear you, sorry. I don't know if it's because I went and put my phone on silent.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Can't hear you.
Okay, take it out of silent.
Okay, let's ask the audience because I cannot hear you at all. Somebody just, can you hear Refilwe? Is it just me on my side? I believe it must be me because I'm the only one who changed something here.
Do you want to control Z to the change?
Like at all. Can you hear me?
I can. Loud and clear.
What you do? Okay, hang on.
Okay, Mercy says.
They say they can hear us, but it's so weird because I'm the one now asking the questions if I can't hear you. Okay, let me do this. I'm gonna save because a lot of people here I can see some very new names. I've never seen them on. So what I'll do, I'm gonna end the session, but I'll save it onto my Instagram TV and then I'll reconnect. So if everyone can just please join in again, because I mean it's great that they can hear us, but if I can't hear you, your responses to my questions, then yeah it's pointless.
No
so
problem.
I'm gonna reconnect now. Thank you.
Sure.